Honorable members, let's pray. Almighty God, we beseech you to behold with your abundant favor and blessings as your servants, whom you have been pleased to call to leadership positions in this republic. We seek guidance to treat and consider all matters that shall come under deliberation in so just and a faithful manner, as to advance the peace, prosperity, and welfare of our country and of those whose interests we have committed to our charge. Amen. Honorable members, good morning, and you are welcome to this first or this morning session of Tuesday, 23rd May 2023. Honorable members, we are privileged to have students from Chevetet Primary School and their teachers, and they are from Lelarte. Of course, in our usual tradition of receiving and welcoming visitors to the assembly, I extend a warm welcome to them, and on behalf of the assembly, wish them a fruitful visit. You are welcome, the students and teachers from Chevetet Primary School from Kaplelate. Of course, the Honorable Eric B., I want to believe you are in the house. Yes. And then I will give you an opportunity later. So, clerk, order of business.
Order number 1, administration of oath.
Next.
Order number 2, communication from the chair.
Honorable members, I have a number of communications to make. One is invitation to attend, and the technical sound, our sound engineer, please work on the sound. So, honorable members, as I said, there is a communication from the office of the governor. This is an invitation to attend the county participatory climate risk assessment and climate change action plan workshop. This is, of course, as you know, the FLOCA program, which address climate action. So you have been invited, all of you, the 47 members of this county assembly, and you're supposed to attend that workshop from 25th to 26th May 2023, implying that you need to travel probably after this afternoon session tomorrow. The workshop shall be held at Western Hotel, that is in Nairobi. Please note that majority and majority whip, so that you plan for members to travel together with the office of the clerk on time. Honorable members, the other communication I want to make is we have received a report of the Auditor General on Litein Municipal Board for the year ended 30th June 2021. That is number one. I want you to note that. Another report again from the Office of the Auditor General on Kericho County Executive Staff Mortgage Fund for the year 30th June 2022. Another report from the Office of the Auditor General, report of the Auditor General on Litein Municipal Board for the year ended 30th June 2022. The previous one was 2021. This is 2022. Another report from the Auditor General, report of the Auditor General on County Assembly of Kericho for the year ended 30th June 2022. The other one is report on the Auditor General on Litein Municipal Board for the year ended 30th June 2020. The other one is report on the Auditor General on Kericho County Agricultural Development Fund for the year ended 30th June 2022. The other one is report of the Auditor General on Kericho County Executive Staff Car Loan Scheme Fund for the year ended 30th June 2022. We also have report of the Auditor General on Kericho Municipality for the year ended 30th June 2021. We also have report of the Auditor General on Kericho Municipal Board for the year ended 30th June 2020. We also have report of the Auditor General on Kericho County Enterprise Fund for the year ended 30th June 2022. We also have report of the Auditor General on Kericho County Emergency Fund for the year 30th June 2022. We have report of the Auditor General on County Executive of Kericho for the year ended 30th June 2022. Which is a bulky one here. And we have the report of the Auditor General on County Revenue Fund, County Government of Kericho for the year ended 30th June 2022. And we have the last one, report of the Auditor General on Kericho County Alcoholic Drinks Control Fund for the year 30th June 2022. Honorable members, this report from the Office of the Auditor General, of course, is transmitted in accordance with the provisions of Article 2297 of the Constitution of Kenya for necessary action as required by Article 2298 of the Constitution. So, honorable members, please be advised these all reports that we have received from the Office of the Auditor General stand now committed to the Committee of Public Accounts Committee. That is Public Accounts. Is it Public Accounts Investment Committee? Yes. And the Honorable Chair, I don't know whether the chairperson is here. The Vice Chair. Yes, the Honorable Vice Chair, please note that. And it's important that you will note the deadlines. And therefore, the work before that committee is enormous, but I'm 100% sure that you are up to the task. Clerk, let's proceed with the next order.
Order number 3, messages.
Next.
Order number 4, petitions.
Next.
Order number 5, papers.
Next.
Order number 6, notices of motion.
Next.
Order number 7, statements.
Honorable members, we have one response to a report, a statement raised by Honorable Fancy Stepkorit. And this one, the chairperson helped give you time to table the report, as well as also, of course, using standing orders number 1, that members, as you contribute, you can take this opportunity to welcome our visitors, the visitors from the vetted primary school from Kaplela. The Honorable Eric P., please proceed.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to table the report raised by Honorable Fancy. Before then, Honorable Speaker, you've given me permission also to welcome pupils from my ward, the vetted primary school. I believe, Honorable Speaker, these are junior secondary school students, and I must give an encouragement that they should work hard in their academics to ensure that they capture everything in what they are being taught in school, and also to ensure that they attain the best. Otherwise, I welcome them to this session, and you will learn something at the end of the day. Thank you. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, this is a statement which was raised by Honorable Fancy, and the statement I'm going to go through, whereby it was asking about the health facilities in the county. And with me, Mr. Speaker, we have a number of health facilities in the county. Allow me to start with Ainamoi sub-county, Mr. Speaker, whereby we have 1 hospital, we have 2 health centers, we have 23 dispensaries, and of course, Mr. Speaker, we have 43 private hospitals within Ainamoi sub-county. I move to Belkut, whereby they actually don't have, they have 0 hospitals, they have 2 health centers, and they have 23 dispensaries, and of course they have 24 private hospitals. Number 3, Mr. Speaker, Ureti sub-county has 2 hospitals, they have 3 health centers, they have dispensaries which are 29 in number, and 10 private facilities. We move to Kipkelion East sub-county, Honorable Speaker. We have 1 hospital within Kipkelion East. Secondly, we have 1 health centers, which you are seeing. These are an area which is muchly vulnerable, Mr. Speaker, because they have 1 health center, and they have 26 dispensaries in number, and 14 private facilities. Kipkelion West, Mr. Speaker, they have 2 hospitals, they have 1 health center again, like Kipkelion East. They have 27 dispensaries, they have 3 private facilities within the sub-county. So Itsigawet, Mr. Speaker, has only 1 hospital, and has also 1 health center. Of course, there are some which are needed to be upgraded as at now, and the dispensaries are 45, and they have 8 private hospitals within the Soin sub-county. In total, Mr. Speaker, we have 7 hospitals within our county. We have 10 health centers within our county, Mr. Speaker, and of course we have a big number of dispensaries, 175, and private hospitals are facilities are 102, and we have 15 faith-based organizations. Number 2, Mr. Speaker, was status of ICU. There is 1 ICU, of course, with matcha over HDU, high dependent unit, at the county based at County Referral Hospital. The unit has 6 beds number that can accommodate both adults and kids. There is a service. I think they were asking about how is it serviced. They're being serviced by a contractor which was given, which supplies the vendors within a referral hospital. Mr. Speaker, and they are being serviced annually. Mr. Speaker, the last was a power backup.
All right, proceed. Don't report.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Sorry for the last annex was brought late, and I'm sorry because it came when I'm proceeding on reading, and people are not aware where I'm in. So I was in number 3, Mr. Speaker, the power backup at the Regional Referral Hospital. There's a Referral Hospital has a total of 4 standby generators, which are fully functional, and the number of equipments. We have a main standby generator, which has a remark at the end of it, that is a 440 kVA, and number 2, a CT scan standby generator. They are specific for the CT scan, which is 100 kVA, And number 3, Mr. Speaker, a standby generator for the entire Kericho Referral Hospital casualty, which has a 50 kVA. Number 4, Mr. Speaker, a generator which is for the blood bank satellite, which has a 12 kVA. So, Mr. Speaker, allow me to go straight to our committee observation. Mr. Speaker, committee observed that the power backup generator are fully functional. And Mr. Speaker, you'll allow me because we have an echo with our mic, and I think you'll bear with us because when I'm going through using the mic, I'm getting some echo back, which is quite disturbing. But by and large, Mr. Speaker, allow me to move on. They are maintained on a weekly basis, as explained by the engineers on site. We visited the site, and of course, we asked several questions pertaining the statement, Mr. Speaker. Number 2, the committee observed that the power backup generator served the emergency electricity requirement of the city. Thirdly, Mr. Speaker, we also observed that oxygen plant was fully operationalized and served the oxygen demand of the county referral facility and those of the sub-county hospital, as evident by the oxygen cylinder back in the when we were moving, checking on the functionality of the oxygen plant, Mr. Speaker, we found we have cylinders which are being supplied to the various sub-county hospital, Mr. Speaker. Fourthly, we observed that oxygen generated at the plant has been piped to the beds in the entire facility. We have the ventilators and monitors at the HDU or ICU were not sufficient to serve the demands of the facility, Mr. Speaker. Nurses manning the HDU and ICU was trained due to long working hours. So, Mr. We have a shortage in terms of the staffing, and these nurses who are serving HDU and ICU, they are working for a long time, which probably, Mr. Speaker, through our recommendation, we also have to support them by provision of more staffs to the facility. 7th observation, Mr. Speaker, we observe that HDU and ICU are housed in the same room, sharing the same doctor and nurses, and instances whereby the patient are in ICU and HDU cease to function due to strain of the monitors and ventilators, Mr. Speaker. They have been merged, both ICU and ICU, HDU and ICU, Mr. Speaker. We also observe that the cost of running ICU is so high, and more often than not, the patient are admitted in ICU 6 for more waivers, thus making the revenue generate from the admission to ICU to go down. Of course, it is very expensive to run an ICU, Mr. Speaker, and most of these patients who are being admitted, normally they request for waivers, of which we should also have a policy so that we can bring this waiver fund to the facility. Number 8, Mr. Speaker, we also observe that the cost of running ICU is high. The nurses serving ICU and HDU are all permanent, and they are not due to their number of small numbers. So the staff serving Speaker are permanent and pensionable terms, and they are very few in number. Of course, they are constrained within. Lastly, Mr. Speaker, we observe that the proper recording keeping of patient is maintained at ICU. Mr. Speaker, allowed to committee recommendation. First, we recommend as follows that the generator being serviced regularly at this practice now will cause effectiveness being taken into the account. Number 2, Mr. Speaker, the County Department of Health Service works on additional ICU beds at the level 4 facilities, Mr. Speaker. That the specialized HDU ICU nurses be employed to facilitate operationalization of our ICU, Mr. Speaker. Fourth, Mr. Speaker, that the Department of Health Service be allocated additional fund in the next budget to phase out asbestos iron within the facility. Mr. Speaker, the committee recommend that HDU and ICU be housed separately, and budgetary allocation to be availed to purchase additional ventilators and monitors within the facility. Mr. Speaker, specialized nurses on contract to be confirmed so as to assist in the running ICU units. Mr. Speaker, of course, last one is the budgetary allocation to avail to the department to purchase oxygen cylinders to be used by the other sub-county hospitals and dispensaries, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I must appreciate the person who raised the statement, Mr. Speaker, because we found all these questions being asked. We sometimes found that all these generator and the ICU, sometimes it's not working probably. So I think I must appreciate her and congratulate the person who raised the statement. Also, Mr. Speaker, to congratulate my committee for a good job we did to come up with this report. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much, the Honorable Derek B. And I want to give a few honorable members to make a contribution. And the floor is open. The Honorable Protich Rogoin.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity. And before I make my contribution, Mr. Speaker, I would also take this opportunity to welcome the JSS class of Chepete Primary School. The school is in my sub-county, my neighboring ward. I've been to the school before, and I'm happy that they are here also to learn, being the first pioneer class of the new curriculum. So they are welcome. In future, most of them will also find their way to this house. Mr. Speaker, I'm grateful that the committee finally tabled this report. Mr. Speaker, the only fault that I find with this report is two. One, it was issued or tabled or submitted to the House in November last year, and the report is now tabled in May. Mr. Speaker, maybe we need to come up with a culture in this House where most of these reports, once they are given, most of the statements given should be dealt with within the shortest time possible for actions to be taken and any recommendation to be followed. Mr. Speaker, if we go with this trend, then we are doing badly as a House. Mr. Speaker, it is true, the committee did a wonderful job. I'm also part of those members. Though I'm not a member of this committee, I joined the committee in one of the tours of our plant, the Walter Reed project here in town. Mr. Speaker, it is true also that the county government of Kericho has only one ICU facility in the entire county. In the recommendation and in the observation, Mr. Speaker, I wish the committee captured very well that we have hospitals like Kapkatet, we have hospitals like Sigowet, Londiani, Kipkelion, and Fort Tenant. That requires ICU facility. Because, Mr. Speaker, if we have only one ICU, stroke HDU with 6 beds, just the other day we had COVID, and most of the people, those who were critically ill, were taken to ICU. If we have a number going up to 100, then it means we are likely to lose the remaining if we have the 6 only accommodated in the ICU. So, Mr. Speaker, I urge this House that we seriously consider pushing the executive to have more of these ICU facilities in all our major sub-county hospitals. And then number two, Mr. Speaker, it is true, the committee has established that even the staff working in these ICU facilities are few. Mr. Speaker, I've always said here, and we have a motion that we brought to this House, that we need to look at the staffing of our health sector in this county, because we cannot run a robust health center that has a few number of staff. Mr. Speaker, it is upon this House that we sacrifice a number of things for us to have our facilities running. Just the other day, Mr. Speaker, and I've always said here, and health is one thing that is critical to me. We are getting reports that we can lose a patient over a staff who was not there because either, number one, he is a bit held up because he's the only one, or number two, he could be out of duty because of one or two reasons. Mr. Speaker, it is the role of this House that even when we get such scenarios, we are supposed to act, and our actions means that we need to push the executive to have the extra personnel placed in all our facilities. To this far, Mr. Speaker, I thank you for the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Argoin. The Honorable Cheriot Pech. I'll give to the Honorable Deputy Speaker.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. And of course, Mr. Speaker, on behalf of the people of Wainamoy Ward, who I represent them in this county assembly, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, before I contribute on this report, let me take this opportunity. Of course, Mr. Speaker, as a chair in charge of Committee on Education, to welcome the students, so the pupils of Chebete Primary, the junior secondary school, together with their teachers, to this county assembly. You are highly welcome. This is a house where we deliberate on issues that affect the residents of this county, including education matters. I want to assure you that as members of the county assembly, we are always working around the clock to hit that education matters is dealt with in this county. Mr. Speaker, I know the challenges that the junior secondary schools are facing, but we are working together with the Ministry of Education and the members of Parliament to make sure that we address the issues, especially the issues of starving, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'm saying this because yesterday, Mr. Speaker, I was privileged to visit 4 schools in my ward, Mr. Speaker, and of great concern was how the matters of junior secondary schools were being handled in those 4 schools, Mr. Speaker, and I know the challenges are the same, Mr. Speaker. So we were with the Member of Parliament representing my constituency, and some of the issues that were raised in those schools, Mr. Speaker, I know is going to push it through the Committee on Education at the National Assembly, and of course the Senate, so that at least our students from the junior secondary school are well taken care of. So as a chair Committee on Education, I want to give you assurance that we are doing our best. Work hard so that in future you will also represent your people at the county assembly, or better still at the National Assembly. And the honorable chair for Health Committee is a good man. So you know he's doing a lot of good work in this county assembly. So you've also seen where every other morning he's traveling to. He's coming to this county assembly every other morning. He's doing a good job. You've seen he's tabling a report on a Committee on Health because he is the chair Committee on Health, and you are privileged to have such an MCA. It is not easy for an MCA to be elected to chair such a very powerful committee. So when you go back to your home, please inform your parents that your MCA is doing a good job. Is the head of all health facilities that we have in the entire county. And of course, if God gave him the grace, I normally hear him saying he is future something, so I don't know. We will cross that bridge when we reach there, and it depends on the kind of work that he does. Mr. Speaker, coming to this report, this is a very good report, Mr. Speaker. And as I said, because I have given positive attributes towards the chair, Mr. Speaker, I do not want to commend much, Mr. Speaker, but this is a good report, Mr. Speaker. The only thing that we want to the committee to push the county executive, Mr. Speaker, is the statistics. Mr. Speaker, looking at the statistics, we have very few health centers, Mr. Speaker. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, that means the people who elected us, Mr. Speaker, do not get services close to their doors, Mr. Speaker. The spirit of devolution, Mr. Speaker, was to bring services closer to the people, Mr. Speaker. But when you look at, for example, a sub-county Kola in Amoy, Mr. Speaker, we only have one hospital. Health centers, there are two in the entire sub-county, Mr. Speaker. This is a sub-county that has this is a sub-county that has 6 wards, but we have 2 health centers, Mr. Speaker. These health centers, Mr. Speaker, services are offered 24 hours a day, including weekends, Mr. Speaker. Services are being offered 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, Mr. Speaker. And there are only very few. If you look at 2, I know the 2. One is in Ainamoy, which I am really pushing for that facility to be improved, Mr. Speaker, to be an hospital. In fact, I'm learning today that Ainamoy is not an hospital, Mr. Speaker, because we only have one hospital in Ainamoy. So we are pushing very hard, and we need to upgrade most of these dispensaries. Dispensaries, Mr. Speaker, the nurses are reporting at work at 8, Mr. Speaker, and leaves at 5 during the weekday. I think I'm correct here. Then during the weekends, they are not available, Mr. Speaker. So that is to say, the people do not get services closer to them. We therefore want to recommend, of course, through the committee, Mr. Speaker, that most of these dispensaries, Mr. Speaker, must be upgraded to health centers, Mr. Speaker. And that is what I have been pushing. When you come to Ainamoy, Mr. Speaker, in the dispensaries that I have in my ward, I have managed to build staff houses in every dispensary in my ward, so that I make sure that the nurses stays within the facility, so that at least sometimes they assist my people during the night to over services, although it is, that they are working overtime, Mr. Speaker. So I think we need to make sure that in each and every ward, out of the 30 wards that we have, Mr. Speaker, each ward must have at least a health center, Mr. Speaker, so that the people get services there, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, coming to the county referral, Mr. Speaker, the day before yesterday, Mr. Speaker, as I was going home from town, it was around 10:30, Mr. Speaker, I was called by one of my residents, Mr. Speaker, to go and pick a certain lady, Mr. Speaker, because she wanted to deliver, Mr. Speaker. I went to that family, Mr. Speaker, picked the lady, Mr. Speaker, and brought her to the county referral hospital, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it took time before the lady was assisted, Mr. Speaker. So we have laxity. In fact, Mr. Speaker, as we speak, the child passed, do we say passed on or passed away? I don't know. I'm not a teacher of English, Mr. Speaker, but I'm a teacher of Kiswahili. So the child passed away or passed on yesterday, Mr. Speaker, because of the laxity of the doctors that we have. So we've lost a life, Mr. Speaker. That child might have been the next MCA in the next 20 years, Mr. Speaker. The child might have been a member of parliament, Mr. Speaker, in the next 20 years. But unfortunately, we lost the child yesterday, Mr. Speaker. In fact, I am going to take the body today, Mr. Speaker, for burial, Mr. Speaker. And such kind of undertaking, Mr. Speaker, should have been avoided if our our health facilities are working. So I want to really to urge the committee being led by the ABO chair that let's save lives, because if you cannot attend, Mr. Speaker, in fact, if I knew that it will not be attended, such as Mr. Speaker, I would have taken the lady to another private facility, Mr. Speaker. But it's unfortunate because this is the only, this is the county referral hospital, Mr. Speaker, that we refer patients from all over. We refer patients from all over the county to the county referral. And I can see the deputy speaker is here, Mr. Speaker. That is your facility, Mr. Speaker. You need to assist us. Otherwise, Mr. Speaker, I support the report, and of course, Mr. Speaker, I cannot sit down, Mr. Speaker, before pointing out, Mr. Speaker, that the statement was raised on the 7th day of November 2022, and the report is being tabled today, the 23rd, Mr. Speaker, May, close to 6 months, Mr. Speaker. So I think we need to, I know we are suffering from the same, most of the committees, but we need to up our game so that at least whoever sought for the statement, Mr. Speaker, would get responses very early. Otherwise, thank you. I think the committee did a good job, Mr. Speaker. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chief Justice. The Honorable Deputy Speaker, Honorable Eric Pitts.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this chance. And also like to take this chance to welcome the pupils from Jebetet Primary School, and you're welcome in this assembly. We will extend a welcome to the day session. We hope your stay will be fruitful. So, Mr. Speaker, in the interest of time, I would want to go straight to the report, and wish to thank the Committee on Health for the report. I also join the rest of my colleagues to also tell the committee that they took a lot of time, because this report should have been tabled a long way back. Nevertheless, we appreciate the work they have done, and I want to go straight to the committee recommendations, and this is where I want to just add a bit of flesh, because I believe this is where we can strengthen to ensure that our facilities are well taken care of. Mr. Speaker, sir, the next few weeks we will be dealing with the budget estimates for the next financial year. And I've seen from the committee recommendations that they have made serious recommendations here to on budgetary allocation, and I'm very keen on number 8 recommendation, where they are recommending the department to purchase oxygen cylinders for use in other sub-county hospitals and dispensaries. These are very important recommendations, Mr. Speaker, sir. And I know because the county referral hospital is in my ward, and I have seen a number of times patients being brought from far and wide where you have sub-county hospitals. It is my prayer that if some of these small budget allocation, like the issues of cylinders, they are not very expensive and be put in the budget, I believe it can save those lives in those sub-counties. And so I want to encourage the chairman of the committee that, as you said in the budget committee, ensure that these are well captured in the next budget, because this report is very good, but will be only very good when we have actualized those recommendations in the next budget cycle that is coming before us in the next couple of weeks. So I'm also asking the chairman for committee implementation and its committee to also work with this committee, ensure that some of these recommendations that may require also further interrogation, like number 1, which is just asking for proactiveness of the committee. That is like the generators should be serviced regularly. Doesn't require budget, just requires the committee to just walk through and check if they are doing the same. So we should have both the ones that we can check using the money, and this one which can be checked using basically a committee which can walk through and check on the same. So my prayer and my request to the committee and all the members is that let's focus on this, and let's make sure that these recommendations really work. And as you know, Mr. Speaker, sir, that these recommendations will now be in the domicile in the committee on implementation to ensure that all these are well addressed. And so I want to encourage both the committee on implementation and health to ensure that it is done has been given here today. And also to encourage the other committees as I come to an end for my contribution is that there are other statements which have been raised. In the same breath, if you are committee chair, please ensure that you become proactive, let the report come in time so that we can be able to move forward together as an assembly. Those few remarks, I say, Mr. Speaker, thank you for giving me this chance. Thank you.
Thank you very much, the Honorable Deputy Speaker, the Honorable Majority Whip, and the National Vice Chair, Majority Whip in Kenya, the Honorable Aaron Rotich.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to start by congratulating and welcoming students from or pupils from Kabelela State Ward that are here to maybe see on what is going on probably in our assembly. I want to tell them they are welcome. And number two, I want to thank the same committee that is led by our chair, Honorable Eric P., for having sat and probably visited the hospital, precisely the HDU and ICU. I want also to give my input, Mr. Speaker, that the work that they have done, probably, I must say it is commendable. However, in the parts, Mr. Speaker, that they are enumerating the number of health centers, probably, together with hospitals, that ranges from all our sub-counties. And Mr. Speaker, this one has catched my eye, probably, the issue of hospitals. In all hospitals, probably, Mr. Speaker, they are ranging from Enamoi all the way to Soin and the other sub-counties. Mr. Speaker, the only sub-county that, if you can note very clearly, that has 0 hospitals. I believe these hospitals means sub-county hospitals. So, Mr. Speaker, we are really disadvantaged. That one should be noted by the chairman. And I think, Chairman, you are taking keen of this because you see, it is very unfortunate that we've always been fighting for these resources, probably to go towards upgrading of these facilities. And for your information, Mr. Speaker, this facility that is in Belgut, it is an old facility that has never been upgraded to a sub-county hospital. So therefore, with the help of our chair, I think he's noted this because this one is very unfortunate. That other sub-counties has got 2, but Belgut has got 0. So I believe he's getting something. And going to the other places on faith-based, I believe Belgut is not badly off among other sub-counties. So, Madam Chair, I think probably going forward, when we request more funding to this sub-county, please, we beseech you. Though Chair comes from the larger Belgut region, that is for the current Sigawet. So probably, I think we will assist each other in terms of allocating more funds. Otherwise, Mr. Speaker, that one only was a matter of concern on the fact that we've been provided by the statistics. So otherwise, I want to commend the work that they've done, and I want to join in supporting, probably, going forward, addition of more funding to the Department of Health. So with those few remarks, Mr. Speaker, I want to thank you and also thank all the members and probably all the House probably for this noble debate. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much, the Honorable Chief Whip. Honorable members, we have come to conclusion. And I want to urge the Honorable Chairperson Health, you have noted the contribution made by the Honorable members, particularly the one raised by the Honorable Cherias Bates, on a matter of life that has been lost, either because of negligence or other factors that needs to be explained. And I want to direct that you pick up the matter, you investigate with your committee, and you table the report in this House. Honorable members, having said that, we now we have now come to end of this session, and I want to sincerely thank the students and teachers of Chabete Primary School for finding time to be here. You are welcome. After this, the Honorable Eric D, together with the Chairperson Education, and of course, our Welfare Department, this assembly, there to welcome you and to ensure that you have a cup of tea as well as take a tour of this county assembly. Otherwise, we now adjourn until this afternoon.